To order, please. Please rise and pledge the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Would you call the roll, please, Renee?
Commissioner Green.
Here.
Commissioner Canfield.
Here.
Commissioner Orthwein. Here. Vice Mayor Stanley.
Here.
Mayor Morgan.
Here.
Also present and participating today is Town Manager Dunham, Assistant Town Attorney Nazaro, Chief Jones, CFO Bymaster, and myself.
Thank you very much. We've been presented with the minutes from our last meeting on January 10. Are there any comments, questions, additions, or a motion?
Motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
Second.
Ms. Basil?
I also need to disclose that at the last meeting, Commissioner Orthwein recused herself from a vote and filed Form 8B as required by the state.
Very good.
Commissioner Green.
Yes.
Commissioner Canfield.
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley.
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Any changes to the agenda, Mr. Dunham?
No, sir.
Except we were presented with a petition that I think we will direct to the chief during his report.
Yes.
And also, we have a proclamation regarding the town centennial. Let's move that from commission action, which it really is not, down to communication with public after Mr. Radcliffe.
Okay.
All right. The next meeting is March 14th at 9 a.m. for anyone who wishes to attend. We have public comment. We have a presentation, I believe, from the Civic Association. Ms. Stanley.
Good morning. I'm Kirsten Stanley, President of the Civic Association. And on behalf of the board, I'd like to make an exciting announcement, and I'm going to read this. The Gulfstream Civic Association is creating a scholarship fund. The fund is designed to benefit the children and grandchildren of current town employees. We want to assist them with the cost of college or technical school education and continuing educational opportunities for the employees themselves. In addition, the fund will seek to provide financial support specifically to the police department for training opportunities and acquisition of equipment and technology that can assist our officers in the performance of their duties. We are going to be undergoing a fundraising campaign, and we encourage all residents to consider funding this scholarship fund. We're going to be partnering with a third-party agency, and as soon as the details of that are worked out, we're going to have information sessions for the employees to really explain the application process. We hope to open this up in 2025, 26. So the children who are currently in the pipeline have the opportunity to defray the cost of their education. I want to specifically recognize two individuals who have spearheaded this. It's Lisa Morgan and Carla Pippin. Can you please stand? They've undertaken a huge effort to establish this understanding, not only the fund, how we should create it, as well as to look at the individuals who will be assisted by this. So thank you very much. And this is in celebration of our 100th anniversary. So it's not in a centennial fund, but it is in recognition of the 100th. As part of that, we also have a flag we want to present to the town. So if you can come. So the town has never had a flag. So the town of Gulfstream now can proudly fly a flag in honor of our 100 years.
Wow.
Right.
Thank you.
Who's going to take possession? Captain?
And one other item, we have next Saturday, the 22nd, we have our centennial party, which is at the Little Club. It is sold out, so we have over 220 attendees. We're actually oversold. So we look forward to all the residents coming and enjoying a wonderful evening from 5:30 to 8:30 at the Little Club. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kirsten. And thank you to the Civic Association for putting the work into all of this, not just the celebration, but also this work for the police department and our staff. Really, great job. We have Richard Radcliffe from the Palm Beach County League of Cities. Welcome.
Mr. Mayor, may I say a couple of words about Mr. Radcliffe?
Of course.
He's the executive director of the Palm Beach County League of Cities. He's a longtime Green Acres city councilman. And I don't know, maybe he thought he got smart and got out of the councilman business and is now the executive director for the league. And I don't know how long you've been doing that.
Well, I was elected for 23 years, and then for the last 4, and I had to give that up
Yeah.
to go to the dark side. And then, so I'm the executive director of the Palm Beach County League of Cities, and that's been about 14 years.
14 years. So, and I also want to say that Mr. Radcliffe is the voice of calm and reason among the 40 cities on our conference calls that we have from the Emergency Operations Center in Palm Beach County during hurricanes and COVID type issues. He keeps everybody from arguing, and like I say, he's calm and brings us back down to earth when we were all ready to attack each other. So thank you for that.
Well, you're most
Richard.
welcome, and thank you for the kind words. Look, you basically said I'm a city geek. I've worked for cities forever, and I work for the 204 elected officials in Palm Beach County. We facilitate everything. And I'm a town guy, a city guy. And I don't usually get to talk to the public, only at special occasions like this. I'm usually dealing with matters, and I'm up in Tallahassee and everything else. But when I saw the flag, it gives me goosebumps. 100 years is a phenomenal event. I mean, there are cities, St. Augustine in Florida, but 100 years is a long time. And people had to go 100 years ago, got together and started this town. How cool is that? And a police department, you want to have a community, which you're the legacy today, but it was 100 years ago. People here kind of gathering together, and it's for safety. You have a police force, and you put this all together. What a wonderful, wonderful event to have this at this point in time. So for me, this is quite an honor. And then throughout the years, Gulfstream, what's the population?
Around 1,000.
You have changed law in Florida. This was the town when, and we went up to Tallahassee with members of this community, that you're elected people. And we went to Tallahassee and we said, there's a cottage industry making a fortune off of all the little cities. And the Florida League of Cities told us, well, that's a public records issue. And there's the First Amendment Foundation as an organization, and they run Tallahassee, and there's no way. But we said, it's not right. And they said, well, it's hard to fight them. We can't really fight them. We said, don't worry, we'll take the lead. And it was Gulfstream and the League of Cities got together, and we changed the law in Florida. There's not all those, there were literally attorneys building communities, and it's not happening anymore. And we joked and said it was the mouse that roared. But it's magnificent to see the spirit of true pioneers from 100 years ago. And then to see it today, it's wonderful. It makes my whole day, makes my whole week. And I mean, I have to admit, I'm kind of a city geek, but it's wonderful. And congratulations. You really have to congratulate yourselves and also the people that began this, and you're all part of the legacy. And it's amazing. But thank you for the honor of speaking to you.
Thanks, Richard.
Thank you, Richard. Very much. Richard's been a great leader of the League of Cities and a great assistance to us as we made our way through the Tallahassee labyrinth to change that law. So thank you very much for everything you've done, Richard. In keeping with the last two speakers, we have a proclamation, which I would like to have the town recognize, and that is our 100th anniversary, our centennial. I will proudly recognize that the town of Gulfstream has accomplished its first century. We proclaim the year 2025 as its official centennial, and we celebrate the legacy of this unique town with a community dedicated to the beauty of its neighborhood and the quiet enjoyment of its residents. Anyone else wish to speak at public comment? Yes, sir, Mr. Burns.
Good morning. I just have a question. As you know, I walk around the neighborhood quite a bit, and my question is two things. One, as part of the infrastructure, are you going to address the idea of adding some more light poles in the neighborhoods as part of this while all the craziness is going on? And the second thing is, the curbs. I'm wondering, we just had one curb at Banyan and, Lakeview and Gulf Road. And I'm just curious to see, asking if more curbs are going to be put on more corners. If you get a chance to ride around, you'll see that there's a lot of corners that are pretty beat up. And if it's a question of aesthetics, what's better, having a curb or having grass all torn up? So those are just two questions.
So regarding the curbs, yes, phase 2 will also have the curbs.
A lot of places.
Yes,
Okay.
on all the streets.
Okay, that's all I wanted to
Now,
know.
some of them that are in phase 1 are beat up a little, but that's a part of, they'll have to fix those.
And the street lights?
The street lights are not part of this, but I know that there are some areas that are dark, and that, I'll be coming back to the town commission with, especially on, let's see, it's Palm, it's
Yeah, those areas have been brought up
Banyan,
before.
yeah, that have a street that goes between Gulfstream and Polo.
Yep.
They're dark, so we need street lights there.
Banyan also between Polo and Gulfstream Road.
Right, that's one of them.
There's a bunch of places, and I just, while you're doing all this stuff, if you could add it in, I think it'd be money well spent and definitely make a difference. Thank you.
Sure.
Thanks. Bob.
Thanks.
Anyone else wish to speak? If not, let's move forward then to the public hearing. Any ex parte communications, commission members for application today?
Mention the petition?
I'm sorry?
The petition?
Um,
Were you going to mention that? Or
We're
did we
going to
already
move
do
that
it?
to the
I'm
police.
sorry,
to
sorry,
Chief's report.
Yeah, chief's report at the end.
sorry, my bad. I'm having issues with the screens right now, so they're going
Alright.
in and out, and I have no idea why. So you may not have them on there when they're making their
I think
presentation.
we can handle it.
Okay.
The way we used to do it. Anyone who wishes to speak today, please rise and be sworn. Anyone who may speak today, please rise and be sworn.
Thank you, might speak.
Raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Tina Scott, I have to say, I have an ex parte. I talked to Mrs. Schwartz on the phone.
Okay,
So that's,
very good. Anyone else? Okay, I'm here. Thank you. All right, this is an application by Mr. Eliopoulos, agent for the Sands, regarding 3223 North Ocean Boulevard. Gary, would you like to take the podium?
Mr. Mayor and Commission, it's a pleasure to be here today. For the record, my name is Gary Eliopoulos. Address is 1045 East Atlantic Avenue. We are GE Architecture. Here with me today, we do have our client, Robert and Pamela Sands. Should you have any questions for them. We also have our builder, Rick Mao and Josh Weaver from Mao Associates. And we have our landscape architect, Paul Weinstein, should you have any questions on those items. So it is an interesting project for us. Our client bought this property, as the mayor stated, it is 3223 North Ocean Boulevard. The home does not conform with your FARs. It is extremely large. Now, one of the things I'm going to do today, which is a little unorthodox for me, I'm going to talk a little bit more about that existing structure. For the fact is, last month we did have a lot of public comments, and I'm going to do my best to address all those comments that were brought up. With regards to that existing structure, if we go to the next slide. Again. Okay, so here's where our property is located that we're dealing with. The interesting part is the Sands actually live to the south. They've been there over 10 years, so they are quite familiar with the town of Gulfstream and have been happy residents here. They purchased this property, and so when you get a piece of property like this and you start looking at the square footage, you start realizing, well, there's a lot of house there. Should you keep it? So the next slide kind of shows the three properties, which is interesting because you've got, here's where the Sands currently live. This is the subject property, and then you have the property to the north. The reason why I think it's kind of interesting is the fact is that when you look at the sizes of the lot to the south is 112 feet wide. The current lot we're proposing today is 200, and then the one to the north is approximately 170. And then you start looking at the square footages. The one to the south is 10,000 square feet plus or minus. It actually fell under your guidelines. The one to the north is a little bit larger, and that is at 12,400. And then you have ours in the center, which at 18,000 square feet is the habitable part. Oh, by the way, they did not count all the other things that you have to count in your guidelines now. So it actually exceeds all that. One of the unique things about this home is it does have a garage underground. Back then, you did not count that square footage. So, you know, in the beginning, we had to look at it. Is this house worth saving? It has a tennis court. Obviously, that's kind of something that's unique that you would have on the ocean. The next slide is basically showing how the homes are. Again, 3211 is the current Sands residence. And then you see going to the south, it's more about showing the compatibility and some of the variety that you have along the ocean. Next slide. This is now going north of our property. Again, you're starting to see the variety of different homes. All these homes were done in different years. Some of them actually did comply with your design guidelines. Some were prior to it. Next, please. Okay, so an overview of the house. As I stated, you see the tennis court here. Some of the things that I think was missed in the last presentation, and I'll take the blame for that, is that it was brought up that we have certain amenities that we're proposing, and this house has similar amenities. The issue is they're totally in different locations. One of the things is along here, you're going to see that they do have an outdoor kitchen. They do have an outdoor fireplace, but it's actually right on the property line. So when you start hearing what we have, it kind of wonders, are we doing the same thing, which we are not. Along this left-hand side here, this is where you go low underground and go into the garages, which will show you those floor plans really quick. Next, please. Again, you're starting to see how this property is, the massing of it. Back then, they did not have to do any kind of setback, so they went straight up. They didn't have to count the covered porches, so all of that is included in this square footage, so it is quite large. One of the other unique things, if you will, is that it actually has like a 3-story spiral staircase that goes up to a roof observation deck. They have several outbuildings on this property that didn't have to be counted. They have a covered porte cochere that is no longer allowed for this size. Next, please. There you go. All right, Jake, let's start bringing it in. So the unique thing about the house is it does meet your current setbacks. It's just, again, the FAR doesn't. One of the things that we are going to be doing on this project, we have an existing privacy wall along the south side. We have curved walls along A1A, and they have aluminum railings in between. The aluminum railings will be replaced, but the curved walls we are keeping. And then we have the property along the north side. There's an existing wall there. Again, all these walls are meant to stay. We have no intentions of knocking these walls down. We do have intentions to fix them should they need it, stucco them, and paint them. The idea is to get it to match the colors of the house that we will be doing. As far as setbacks go, you start seeing the house was set back decent along the south side at 45.7, and the north side is 34.9. Now that's 3 stories along the north side that goes up 34 feet 9 inches. Next, please. So you're seeing the tennis court, you're seeing the blue. Next, please. There is a dune crossover with a deck, if you will. That is actually going to remain. We will be repairing that, but that will be going through DEP. The last portion that's up at the top is the lavender color. That is actually the outdoor kitchen and existing outdoor fireplace. Next, please. And that's 410 off the property line. So obviously very close to the property line, which was no longer allowed. We are reducing the tennis court. We are having a little sports court here. Your code talks about tennis courts. It talks about that the code has to be a minimum of 78 feet off the center line of the property. And we are at 82 to 84 feet, so we do meet that criteria. and we're off the southern property line also. Next, please. So I guess, again, real quick, we'll go through the existing structure. This was a garage underground. That square footage doesn't count. This section over here is where we have our driveway going underneath the garage. We will be infilling that. So we're going to be taking the earth and balancing it off with our north neighbor and raising it. Right now, it drops down approximately 8 or 9 feet. So we're filling all that in. Next, pan up a little bit. And there's this observation deck that is quite unique to this structure, but we will not be having any of that. Next, I'll quickly go through the floor plans. You just start seeing how massive the house is. You have a lot of 2-story spaces in the house. Your code requires you to double it up. This did not have to back then. Next, please. Next. And you got over 18,000 square feet of what is considered habitable. So here's that 3-story spiral staircase. You're starting to see, and we're going to show some things about this house, and this is why we decided to tear this down and give up on the square footage. Next, please. So there's the outdoor kitchen. We just highlighted the wall that is 410 off the north property line. Next, please. There's the outdoor fireplace. And again, the wall. Also, this whole area was never calculated into the square footages. Next, please. And this is what I was talking about on the north side of the property line. So what happens is the existing privacy wall along the north property line varies between 6 and 7 feet, and then it drops down another 7 feet. Next, this is the part that we will be infilling the whole area and now balancing both sides of that privacy wall. Next, please. Just highlighting this, that we do realize we have to do some work to the walls. There are cracks, they are existing. At the end of the day, I still got to make everything safe for both sides of the properties. So we will be fixing all of that. And again, like I said, stuccoing and painting. Next, please. These will just be some quick shots that you're seeing the existing structure. Next. You're definitely seeing a lot of severe cracking in the structure. Next. This actually has columns shifting. Next. 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 Okay, so when we start looking at it again, now I'm going to go into our proposed design. I just wanted to get this one last shot of showing where the side setbacks were. And again, the massing of this home. Next, please. Next. So what we have is in the light blue, that's our 1-story elements. Then what we do is, now your criteria in the Ocean District does not require that 2nd floor setback. We actually have taken the dark blue and we have shifted our building back further in to actually give more privacy to the abutting properties. Next. Next. Oh, wait. Go ahead. Again. So one of the things that you're going to be seeing is the square footages. Our square footages are based on, you have your gross square footage of the lot, then you have the effective area. So next, please. You start seeing our setbacks. So our 2nd floor setbacks for privacy are setback minimum 50 feet. We could have been at 30 feet 2 inches. The center portion of our motor court that you drive up to this property where it's 2 stories is 168 feet off of our property line. The 1 stories are 117. Next, please. Okay, next. So what's going to happen is when you're dealing with the 2nd floor has to be a maximum of 70% of the ground floor. That puts us at 6,661. We're at 4,600. We're less than 2,000 square feet or more than 2,000 square feet below the required square footage that we could have went for that 2nd floor. Next, please. Again, you're seeing our setbacks. One of the things that it'll pop up on the next slide. Go ahead, Jake, to the next one, please. Again, one of your criteria is the following. You have to have the 2-story and the 1-story has to have an offset. Has to be 5 feet. We are actually 54 feet on ours. Next, please. Again, showing the side setbacks. Next, please. Your other criteria is the front porte-cochere as far as covered area can be a maximum of 14.6 and also has to be at least 8 feet. We meet both of those criteria. Our maximum height is 35. We have those to the chimney. The main structure is at 34. Next, please. There's the part I was just talking about. We're 168 from the property line and the offset is 54 feet versus 5 feet from the 1-story to the 2-story. Next, please. This is the rear. Again, we were pushing it in, trying to give relief to what I feel is the appropriate thing to do, the abutting neighbors. Next, please. spent a little bit of time on this one. This one was a conversation piece at our last meeting. One of the things was we do have an outdoor fireplace. That outdoor fireplace is a good 50 feet off the property line, unlike what you saw before, which is currently 410. When we talk about this, it is a bioflame, which means it is eco-friendly. It doesn't burn. You don't have ash. You don't have anything floating in the air. You don't have California, basically. Okay, so it's totally safe. One of the other things that did come up was our outdoor kitchen, and we have a jacuzzi on the second floor. The jacuzzi is meant to be private for our client. So what we do have is it's totally walled up. We do have a set of stairs, but behind that, on the ground level, is the outdoor kitchen. And again, on the second floor is the jacuzzi. Nobody will be seeing that. The only thing that is going to be happening is that our clients will be seeing the ocean. Next, please. One of the other things that we did do is our second floor windows, when we're facing north and we're facing south, they're minimal. We're talking about bathrooms, we're talking about closets. So we don't have anybody looking out at the second floor to the adjacent properties. Next, please. This being the south, same situation. We did a variety of roof heights. I guess you can call that the wedding cake effect. We wanted to actually try to always reduce the massing. On the north and the south side, we do have trellis areas. Again, areas for them to gather, but at the same time, they're open and it doesn't count towards the FAR. Next, please. Go ahead. Showing the distance from the north and the south sides are obviously exceeding the 50 feet. Again, our landscape architect is here should you have any questions. One of the things that we are doing is along A1A, we are not touching anything on there with regards to the Australian pines. The entrance is staying in the same location. We are not changing that. One of the things we are doing is we're coming in up to a motor court. You're going to see in our renderings, we do have low curved walls. We're mimicking the front along A1A. You'll see that we do have a garage to the north side and a garage to the south side with a motor court in the center. When you're on the back side, you can see that the pool is centrally located. It does tear down to the existing dune crossover, again, creating the privacy that not only our clients want, but the abutting neighbors should have also. Next, please. Okay, so as far as east facade, you're looking out at the ocean. That's what you're seeing along the top. The bottom is the north facade. Clearly, we want heavy vegetation both on the north and the south side to create the privacy that everybody's had for many years in this area. Next, please. This being the west facade, so there's our motor court as you're entering in with some featured palms. And then on the south side, the same thing that you're getting on the north side, heavily vegetated. Next, please. In this design, we do have a variety of materials. Now, we are talking this a Georgian style. I think if we were up in Georgia, you'd be seeing brick. It's clearly not appropriate for South Florida, but we are having stonework on here. Basically, we are doing some pilasters. We have some dormers with copper roofs. We have slate roofs. But again, we're mixing these materials up, but only trying to do them in certain spots. And the majority of the house will be a white stucco face. Next, please. One of the things that I mentioned before, no, let's go back one. I'm sorry, Jim. So again, this is where the outdoor kitchen is. It's totally blocked off. Up here is the outdoor jacuzzi, again, covered. On the south side, we did a similar thing. We have an outdoor living room. It is totally covered and isolated from the adjacent neighbors. Next, please. And next. And next. This one is kind of a repeat of the first one, but now you're actually seeing the proposed property with what our design is. Next, please, Jake. And again, so you're seeing our setbacks. We clearly are bringing it in. And on the one story, it does come a little bit out. But again, given the relief and meeting the code by more than what is required, I think it does fit appropriately now. We kind of went over these square footage as a versus to be in plus 18,000 square feet. We're at the 14,000 mark. The house to the north is 12. The house to the south is 10. Next, please. And these are going to just be some random shots of what we are proposing for you. Next, please. This is looking towards the northwest. You're down in the southeast corner. Next, please. Again, I mentioned the curved walls coming in. We'll have river rock veneer stone on that. Our driveways are going to be limestone. We're also going to have tabby concrete with oyster shells crushed into it. Next, please. Again, as you approach into our motor court. Once again, the front, let's go back one, Jake, that front covered entrance has to be a minimum of 8 feet. It is 8 feet, and it is not taller than the 14.6, which is allowed by code. Next, please. Again. Again. There's that fireplace on the north side. Once again, far off of the property line, a sculpture garden. You're starting to see the stairs that are going up to the second floor. Next, please. Just wanted to repeat it. There's plenty of privacy from the abutting neighbors where this activity will be occurring within our property. Next. The pool, we're going to have a lot of features with it, with the affinity edge off back where the trellis is. We have a water weir that the water will cascade down. It pours into stepping stones and goes into the pool. Next, please. Next. And one more. We'd like to believe that the balance of the symmetry that we're creating for you guys, the harmony with all the different materials, we think actually creates something special for the town of Gulfstream. We like to call it as far as something that is stately, elegant, and timeless. And we hope you guys agree. That concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Questions from the commission?
It's a beautiful house.
Thank you.
You talked about the Australian pines. There must be no landscaping service to the Australian pines by the property owner.
Mr. Mayor, I'm fine with that, but I did, at the last meeting, the board did request us to maintain the lower portions of the shoots of the Australian pines. Is that something that we shouldn't do?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I believe that that's something that we hire a contractor to take care of our pines. We don't want to have residents taking that
No problem.
effort onto themselves.
Fair enough.
Okay?
Yes.
Just want to make that clear.
Thank you.
Also, the sports court
Yes.
is going to replace the tennis court. I see it in here. I just want to verify that it will comply with section 66-368 on tennis.
Yes. No lighting, everything that matches with the tennis courts, we will match.
Okay, very good. I know there is a question regarding the wall to the north side, I believe.
Yes.
And we have Mrs. Swartz here, and I believe her attorney, if they want to address that or any other issue regarding this application. If there are no other questions by commission members, very good.
I think you're retaining the walls, aren't you? You're going to fix
Yes.
them. Okay. That's what we heard.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Henry Handler from Weiss Handler in Cornwall and Boca Raton, 2255 Glades Road in Boca. And we thank Gary for his addressing the wall. We think we are satisfied that the wall is being retained. We have one quick question with regard to the manner in which the underground garage is going to be removed. Could Gary spend a few moments, or maybe the contractor, as to the process, the timing? We are interested in knowing what kind of noise is anticipated with that process. So if that could be addressed, thank you, sir.
Of course.
So right now, Mao Construction has actually started the demolition process with applications. In your code, you unless you get special permission from the commission, you cannot do any demolition before May 1st. We will not be doing anything before May 1st. It will be after that. As far as the garage goes, the building, everything is going to be taken down. To the best of their ability, the contractor and the demolition contractor will try to control the noise and everything. It is taking down a big building. They can maybe answer the timing, but it would be probably about a week to get that whole building and the tennis courts off. I'm not sure if that answers the question.
Month? When do
No, a
you,
week.
no, I know, but when do you intend to do it? What month? Do you
Oh.
have any plans?
Right now, it looks like it would be after May. It's going to be depending
Like
on.
June, maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Mr. Mayor, if I can ask Gary if the concrete is intended to be brought out, what's going to happen to the concrete in the garage that's presently there?
Understand when you do demolition and you remove everything, you do not leave anything because in case there's possible voids or something like that, it will actually affect the new structure. So everything will be removed from that property that involves that existing structure.
And that's to resecure the base foundation of
You
the
got it.
new
Yep.
home. Henry, any other questions?
No, Mr. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the public regarding this application? It's a beautiful home. Sands are longstanding residents. Magnificent home. I'm looking forward to seeing it when it's completed. Could take a little while. Could take a while, but magnificent home. Is there a motion?
Yeah, we'll make a motion with regard to the application as presented. The first motion is a motion to approve the North Ocean Boulevard overlay permit for the installation of certain new landscaping and entry gate with existing privacy wall and all Australian pines and cabbage palms to remain.
Second?
Renee?
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Canfield?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes.
Second motion is motion to approve a demolition permit to demolish the existing structures, and as stated, everything will be removed from the property prior to the new construction.
Second?
Renee?
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Canfield?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes.
Third motion is motion to approve a land clearing permit to clear the lot of existing vegetation as proposed and prepare for new landscaping.
Second?
Ms. Basil?
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Canfield?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes.
Fourth motion is a motion to approve a level 3 architectural site plan based on a finding that the construction of a 14,642 square foot, 2-story, single-family Georgian-style residence with a 4-car garage, sports court, swimming pool, spa, covered porches meets the minimum intended design manual and the applicable review standards with the following condition. Any minor modifications to the approved landscaping shall be submitted to the town manager for review and approval, and any major modifications shall be brought back to the ARPB for review and approval prior to commencement of the landscaping. And secondly, as the mayor noted, the owner is not to maintain the Australian pines located in the right of way of A1A.
Second?
Ms. Basil?
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Canfield?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwyne?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on to CIP report. Mr. Dunham.
Nobody wants to stay and
Nobody wants to stay to hear you talk about your report?
learn about the CIP.
Construction fatigue already.
Right, so I'll maybe let everybody get out first.
About a 3-year project.
Looks like it.
Stunning.
It's an incredible house. Anthony, can I have
Good to see
you
you.
step up?
Hi, Audrey.
Now we got the crowd.
Good morning.
Yeah, the ones that come every week. So, well, I think it is. It really is. So I have Anthony.
Stays. He stays.
Right. So I have Anthony Monroe, one of the inspectors from Baxter Woodman, here today. I've handed out a list to you. It's titled "To be completed prior to starting phase 2." I think I'm going to have Anthony kind of encapsulate the main issues that we have before we're ready to sign off and go to phase 2. If you'll remember, I mean, we did set a goal of having like 60% of the drainage pipes approved and signed off on.
But some other issues came up after that.
Correct. And so this is what you're saying here, that ideally, I think that we'd like all of this to be completed before moving on to phase 2. But I think there are some, the town and the staff will discuss with the engineers about what we're perhaps comfortable moving on to. And maybe there would still be some work going on in phase 1. I mean, the main thing is to not have any kind of major construction going on. And so there's two places, in my opinion, in phase 1 that still will have perhaps some major construction going on. And that would be the pipe between 43 and 73, Anthony?
Yes, sir.
That was the
And-
pipe that was not connected.
Correct.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
What's the status of that?
Last meeting with the contractor, they plan to come out early next week and televise the line. We actually need that to move forward with the progress of installing something new or coming up with a plan for what's approved since it wasn't built per plan. So earliest next week, they'll be televising the line.
That line was not connected to the drainage.
Correct.
Has it been connected?
No, sir.
And it was filled with debris, as I recall.
From what we've seen so far in the camera footage, the line's defective. It's an older line, so there were some issues with it. But being the fact that they removed a part that shouldn't have been removed, that's what's prohibited the line to be connected and actually flow as it should.
Okay, so what's your estimate for when that's going to need to be replaced?
Correct. For what we determined so far, yes, but we actually need the footage for our engineers so they can see the extent, and then they will procure a plan to give to the contractor. This is what we need you to do.
But wasn't it engineered initially?
It was engineered honestly just to televise it to determine if it could stay in use or would need to be replaced. So you have one more section that was like that prior as well. They need that television footage with that camera to determine.
So I think to answer you, the plan, it is on the plans for
Correct.
the pipe to be there.
Correct. And it was on the
So-
plan for the pipe to be televised, which they didn't do up until this point. So I don't really know the reason for that. But when we pointed it out to them, and then we pointed out the fact that there was a structure removed that shouldn't have been removed, and flipping through the plan, showing them the demo plan, the proposed plan, and seeing what was left. And this is kind of the state we're at right now.
Where is this pipe again?
It's, so you know, between the Tiernans
Yeah,
and the Combs,
That pipe, yeah.
across the street
On the east side of the road,
from that.
Drainage.
Yeah,
Goes
it's the one that's
across
not
the
really
street.
working. Yeah.
on the
Uh,
east side.
yeah.
It's not working.
So now the good part of that is none of this pipe is under the road. It's all in the right of way, so they would not have to get
Yeah,
into
because
the
nothing's
roadway.
working over there. You can see that.
It's not connected.
Yeah. And so that's one item. And then the other, in my opinion, is cleaning up and finishing there at the 48-inch catch basin.
Correct.
So
I guess it's been a month, I think, since we first talked about this. We're alerted to it and talked about it. And it doesn't appear that anything has occurred since
I
then.
agree.
A month.
I agree.
So they're not moving on to phase two
oh no,
until that's done.
no.
But
And
the engineering aspect you're indicating has to be done
Correct.
before they can reconnect this line.
Correct. And again, when they initially televised it and noticed that it was to the point they probably wouldn't be able to complete to televise it, was roughly 3 weeks ago. And our firm asked them, hey, we need that footage. We need to make a declaration of a plan that we need to do. We've communicated in the field multiple times in meetings, in our scheduled meetings. And it's now to this point, like you've said, roughly 3 to 4 weeks later.
So are they engineering it now? I'm a little I mean, are they process or they haven't even started?
It's not that the process, we needed that footage first to make
Oh,
a
okay.
declaration, which we voiced when they initially did it. It has been, I don't know the reasoning, delayed up until this point for them to get us that footage of the original televising.
Until right now. So
Correct.
they didn't have the footage to do the engineering.
They had that small amount of footage that declared that the pipe was not connected and going all the way through, which we already kind of determined, but we still have to see the quality of the inside of that pipe. So still to make a determination whether it needs to be removed and replaced, or we can connect to it and use it and keep it active. We need the actual footage with a report. You know, it's more official on that end, which we requested when they initially started to try to televise it.
So what's the time schedule of this?
We've requested again the footage and the report in our recent schedule meeting, just like we have for the last 3 to 4 weeks. They told us this week. I mean, there's been no definitive.
they certainly haven't pushed the need to start phase two.
But they've been pushing to start phase two and relying on
Not
our initial
recently.
decision to
Yeah, I mean, we have made it clear that there's
The issue
many
with the
more
school
things.
is no longer an issue. That is, they don't have to get the work done outside of school year. We're changing our approach to that now.
I believe with the testimony, if you will, of the chief saying that he's got several alternatives for traffic around there, I believe it becomes less of an issue.
Right. Has that been communicated to the contractor that we're no longer going to be requiring
Yes,
that schedule of school
yes,
being out for them to do work in front of
yes, correct.
Gulfstream Road?
I mean, that was their leverage.
Right.
And I think, I don't think they can use that anymore.
I don't
It's,
think the schedule is going to be met anyway. I mean, we've talked about this for
Correct.
6 or 7 months that we're going to have to run a lot of cars off of A1A, and we may have to have extra officers or something. We'll work it out. But anyway.
yeah, so right now, the contract says that they should be, is it substantially complete?
If you'd like to use
By
that.
March 18th. So you can see there's a laundry list of items here that this is from the engineers. This has been submitted to them. They know about this. You see all this in the red. It may look like, oh, well, this is impossible for them to do by March 18th. There's a lot of technical information in here that we will have to talk about what we believe they need to have completed before they move to phase 1, but phase 2. But they are, irrigation, restoration, landscaping, all mailboxes. They're working on, basically, that's what they're working on right now.
In case their work is intermittent, random, are they not proceeding with diligence and time of the essence?
So they were for a while, and they were, what I was really pleased with was their restoration of the driveways, and that they,
That was a subcontractor.
well, no, it is a subcontractor, but then that kind of slowed down. Now they've started that back up, but it is random. I think she's back at it now.
I haven't seen her on site physically yet. I think next week is when I've heard that she will be on site.
Okay, so we still have,
There's still asphalt driveways, stamped concrete driveways,
Right.
specialty driveways, gravel driveways.
Anthony, how about the lighting to verify that the installations are
On the drainage.
on drainage?
So we've done,
yeah, we met
they've
that
done
60%.
basically up to the 60%, if not more, of what's been requested.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
50 or 60?
It's been more than 60, actually. They've done more than we originally agreed upon, because we gave them a list of sections that we felt would not be impacted. They've even done some sections that they thought would be impacted by the dewatering efforts from phase 2 to phase 1.
They've
so-
all passed?
So far, we've seen no issues that would warrant any kind of excavations of the road. To this point, and there's still, sections that are still left, but from what we've laid out the guidelines of, hey, can we do this amount to verify that we feel comfortable? There might be some cleaning later in a drainage structure from sediment. Obviously, that's kind of required at the year end anyway. I think they're doing some repair cement work in some of the structures as we're doing inspections. But as far as I can see right now, there will be no excavations in the roadway from what we've inspected.
There are a few curbs that they're going to need to replace.
Yeah, so that's here on the list as well. I think the agreement was anything that would possibly be a liability or a hazard or a trip hazard would be
Right.
directed or.
So in the case of those curbs, is that going to require the big concrete truck?
Yep, to prepare it, cut it out. It'll take some machinery work, and
So
it
they
will
gotta
be.
all the ones that are cracked, and there's numerous ones, they've got to
Right.
pull it out and report.
Right.
Correct. So I think what the determination was here was to say anything that caused a liability or a possible hazard that was imminent was to be addressed first. There still will be another inspection, obviously, prior to final lift of asphalt going down. And then if there were hairline fractures or things that weren't acceptable by the standard,
Yeah.
they would replace those then.
So on the valley gutters, which I don't know, they don't seem to be, I guess it's because of the heavy equipment and some of this damage is due in the install when they're going fast. They don't seem to be as durable as advertised.
They've been cracked. What, are they gonna go fix them
So-
as?
Yeah, sorry, Jim.
Oh, no, that's all right, because I agree with you. Some of them are cracked or damaged. Are they gonna fix them at the end?
The curbing?
Yeah.
Yes, they're responsible.
Yeah, so
They're
they,
responsible.
Those are valley gutters.
well, I'm not talking about the curbing.
Oh,
of
the
corners.
grades?
I'm talking about
The valley
on the
gutters.
sides of the roads. You know, we're pouring are you calling that curbing?
The curbing, the valley gutter curbing.
Yeah, the valley gutter.
Valley
curb,
gutter
not
curbing.
the curb, not the curbs we have on some of the
The
corners.
the F curbs. He's not.
Oh,
talking
so not the
about
F curbs.
those.
Yeah, it's just a different style of curb. So the valley gutter curb.
Yeah, the valley gutter curb. I mean, those things don't seem to be as durable as advertised. And second of all, they're going to pull everyone that has a hairline crack, which is like 30%, maybe I'm throwing maybe 20 or 30. Are they going to pull all those and re-pour them, or are some of them they just going to try to use a bonding agent and patch them?
It's all determined on the walkthrough, I guess, depending on the severity of the crack or what the possibility could cause in the future. So that's why we do the walkthrough. Obviously,
Okay.
larger ones would be a kind of an easy decision.
Yeah.
If they're smaller ones, we could probably come to an agreement, but that's determined on the walkthrough.
How are these gonna hold up under just normal everyday traffic? I mean, is it the heavy equipment that's broken them, or, I mean?
Well,
Yeah.
well, let me ask you a question. So a lot of those valley gutters still have not
Okay,
had
okay.
restoration behind them,
Yeah, I know.
the dirt and the grass. So, I mean,
They don't have-
they're
they don't
just
have
hanging
support,
out
so if
there.
somebody runs on them or a truck or something. it's just-
Does that play into the,
There's a couple factors that play into it for sure.
okay.
We have brought this up in some of our Friday meetings, and tell me if I'm wrong, but didn't they say they didn't have time to cure, and that's why they were
There were
breaking?
multiple reasons from what we've heard, from what we've seen. There's even more reasoning. So this is kind of why we wait. Let's see what's damaged. We'll obviously take an assessment, go, hey, this is kind of consistent. We'll need to remove all of these just based on what we've seen over the time since it's been installed.
So maybe you might have a question about the material. I mean, are they using the proper mixture?
Yeah, they're using
that-
what was approved by the engineers.
Okay.
That's a submittal and approved style of whatever they're using, the materials,
Right.
the application, the installation.
Okay.
All the like cracks and whatever that will be seen will be assessed on a walkthrough. I think what the list basically states is anything that's a liability right now. To my understanding from previous jobs, mostly everything that is cracked or even deemed failed, which is not solid, would be replaced. Now, I can't say that there'll probably be some exceptions. I don't know, and that's why the walkthrough kind of takes place.
Is there any way they can improve this going forward on the phase two? I mean,
We
instead
can
of-
ask, I can ask our engineers. I mean, he's seen it and he's made the same comments, ultimately it's his license, so he's kind of concerned about it as well. He's
Yeah.
definitely knows.
Because they could possibly be in here like a month
Yeah,
or a new.
I've
pull
mentioned
and-
this as well.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it'll disturb the residents even more to read. That's what I'm saying, at least in phase two, could you
January,
correct this?
February 26th, but
Yeah, but it'd be easier if we could correct the problem going
yeah,
forward
that's
than,
not have a big,
having it done
as big a
again.
fail rate as we're having now.
Yeah.
So, and I think you said that, and you're speaking of Jockey.
Correct.
In particular. So he's aware of it and,
He's seen it multiple times when we've done
Okay.
ride-arounds after progress meetings.
okay.
It's a concern.
For sure.
And
So,
yeah, so real quick, 10 seconds. So lastly on this, so all this, mainly most of this stuff on the list, other than obviously the pipe issue and you've got the 60 or 70% testing of the existing drainage. And so where are we quickly on the actual water main and the water service? Everything up here is restoration on this list almost.
The water main.
The testing and the health department approval, I think it's item 1 here on the water mains on
Mhm.
phase 1, and then connecting the service. Like, where are we on that?
Currently, I've just done another comment revision on their as-built and sent them back to them yesterday. Dropped those off to the office and our project manager sent them to those. So we're awaiting those back and hoping that it's narrowed down to where it's, close to the process of being submitted. Once we know that that's
To the
good.
health department?
Well, once we know that the as-bills are close to ready,
Yep.
then they will go ahead and they will proceed with the BAC-T sampling. Once those results come, then we will submit that whole package with the pressure testing, as-bills, and BAC-Ts to the health department.
Okay.
The BAC-Ts are bacteria testing.
Yep.
So those, see, I learned all this past week. So there's the BAC-Ts, the
So
pressure
we think
testing.
we have probably like 8 weeks on that, give or take. Depending, it's once you get it to the health department, we don't.
It's speculative.
We don't have
It's in their hands. I mean,
Yeah.
you can go 2 weeks, it could go 4, it could go 6.
Okay.
I think the ultimate thing probably is what I've seen in my history is just the as-bills. If they require more data or if they see something that we've missed that they require, we would have to then verify something or see if the contractor has the
Yeah,
information.
I got it.
So, and I'll just mention one more thing so we can move on. So in phase 2, with respect to these as-bills, I mean, we're getting all these as-bills all at once right now for this entire phase 1. We're saying that we want those as-bills
Should be monthly.
as they move forward in phase 2 instead of,
They complete each section.
right,
Yeah.
right. So, but
Can I ask just one question on this question of durability? So in 2026, early 27, if we're walking around the neighborhood and seeing a lot of cracks, is there a standard in the contract that basically says X amount of weight that there should be no cracking in the valley gutters?
I think it's just more of an
Right, because
engineer.
I don't know the weight of a landscaping truck, but it's significant, right? So they're plowing through the neighborhood. They're all going to be parking in valley gutters. I'm just wondering whether that was thought of from a standard standpoint.
I think the standard covers that. I don't think that those things should crack. And if that was the case, it would be more of a either install and or material issue. Obviously you see there's spots before where machines go over curbing, right? A smaller machine or even a mid-sized machine, and it really wouldn't crack or defect. So again, this is something I'm going to have to ask Jockey. There's 3,000 PSI pressure testing concrete. There's 4,000, and it's all based on what it's used for structurally. This is non-structural. So I think it's 3,000 PSI.
And then can you ask them too, while we're on this subject before phase 2 starts? In the other neighborhoods, like I know up in Bureau and whatnot, and other planned unit developments, of which this isn't one. I mean, what's the replacement procedure for town roads on these gutters? We've never had them before. I know they have them in Palm Beach and whatnot. So if they're damaged like 3 years from now, we have some semi come in bringing grade beams in for a house for construction, the whole thing. Obviously, we go after the contractor that did it, but what's the procedure? We just call it, get the sub, and they come out and start pulling them 3 or 4 years from now, obviously.
Yeah, it would be
pretty common. I mean, I don't just like
it'd
the
be a
sort of
remove and
flavor of what the
replace.
ongoing maintenance is.
It'd be a remove and replace.
Yeah.
Because if you just patch it, it's just going to continually show itself after a while.
Okay.
But in a lot of cases, when we're expecting heavy equipment coming into a construction site, we require them to put the iron plates down.
Yeah.
And so they would not rest completely on the valley gutter, but rather the street and the dirt, which is in the right of way, which will be higher than the valley gutter.
Yeah, but when those trucks come in, unless you're with them every minute, they just run over everything. I mean, it's not a construction
They're
site.
aesthetically pleasing, so we'll deal with them going forward. Okay.
So we do have obviously another commission meeting before their March 18th completion date, and so we'll certainly be able to give you an update as how things are
We'll
going.
pick up the pace. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Anthony.
Thank you, Anthony. ARPB meeting is February 27th. Anyone who wishes to attend. Finance report, water and finance.
Yes, this represents actually 1/3 of our budget, and I don't think there's anything unusual in the update, Mark. So we would ask that you
Any
approve it.
questions on the financial reports? If not, we'll accept those as submitted and move on to chief. Police report.
Morning, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. So if you would please accept the report that's been submitted for police activity. If you have any questions about that report, I'll be more than happy to answer them. I will tell you the last couple of weeks have been busy. We've been working a number of fraud cases that connect to our community one way or another. And Sergeant O'Donnell, myself, and several other police officers have been everywhere from Miami to Port St. Lucie, and we're working cases in Tennessee, New Jersey, Florida. So we're moving right ahead. We've made some arrests, and some more will follow. So again, any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer them. In addition, I would like to bring a subject to light. Obviously, the commission has received some petitions from residents on County Road, specifically 2 different petitions. The petitions really address 4 issues from my review. One issue is the speed limit on County Road. Currently, the speed limit on County Road is posted at 20 miles an hour, which is the standard speed limit throughout the town and the core. And I do believe, obviously, based on the size of that road, the number of residents, the vegetation, and all those things, we should reduce that speed limit to 15 miles per hour. I drove it at several different speeds myself to kind of get an idea of stopping distance and those kind of things. And 10 seems a little bit too slow. 20 is just too fast. So kind of somewhere in the middle leaves us with a 15 mile an hour mark. That's as easy as us simply placing a new sign on the street and adjusting that speed limit. So I would obviously ask that the commission allow us to proceed with that. Second is a request to install some speed bumps on the road. I do not advise that that's something we would consider at this point. That's typically kind of a last resort. Commissioner Canfield has heard me talk about that in Place au Soleil as well. Typically, they're very expensive to install. It's not something you do unless you're redoing the road at that time. And there can be some safety issues with walking and cycling and those kind of things. So I wouldn't think that's a good solution at this point. I think we should try the reduction in the speed limit and kind of go from there. The third issue that was brought up was golf carts and traffic going against the flow on County Road. As everybody knows, historically, golf carts have driven the wrong direction on County Road. We have never had any reported safety issues at the police department, no activity relating to incidents involving crashes or anything with golf carts on County Road. The petition is kind of mixed. Some folks are against it and some folks want to see it continue to be allowed to happen. We do enforce vehicles going the wrong direction on County Road that are non-golf cart vehicles and any unsafe operation. So if you're going to drive a golf cart in a reckless manner or not pay attention, those kind of things we would obviously address, but specifically going up the wrong direction, the only way to solve that problem is to require residents who may not have a low speed vehicle that meets the registration requirements to then have to go all the way around on A1A, which I think is more of a safety issue than going the wrong direction. So I don't really know that there's a solution to fix that request. I think we should just continue to monitor it and address it on an as needed basis. And then the last issue is parking at the area along County Road and St. Andrews where the tennis courts are. We've had several complaints about vehicles parking in that area and then exiting the grass onto County Road and going against the one-way onto A1A, creating a true safety issue because folks can't see when they're coming from the south to make a left-hand turn until it's too late. So that would create a bigger concern for me. We have met personally, myself, the town manager, the deputy chief, and we've even begun enforcing, writing citations for those violations to the valets and anyone else who we find doing that. However, it seems like it's still occurring and it's still a concern. So one of the solutions that I think may be viable is to entertain the idea of potentially planting some vegetation in that right of way, short, attractive vegetation that would prevent vehicles from even entering County Road and going the wrong direction, as well as us continuing to enforce that issue in the form of citations, meeting with management again, and potentially even drafting a letter from the town and sending them, putting them on notice that it's creating a safety concern and the liability is going to ultimately fall on them if something does happen. And those are really the only ways I can think to address the issues in the petition. And I would just kind of ask for some direction from the commission on your thoughts.
Can I make a comment? So on the south side of the tennis courts, when you first pull in and just off to your right, I mean, I think County Road is only a 10-foot right of way. I don't think we have any right of way. So the grass by the edge of the pavement to the tennis court, I think belongs to the club.
We looked before the meeting and it
Oh.
looks like we have some right of way
Yeah,
there.
there's
Oh, we
plenty of-
do?
plenty of room.
Now that's
There's plenty of it.
simply a review on the property appraiser's website, which we
Okay.
know is not always complete.
Because I know over here, we don't, I mean, it's
think it's pretty thin.
yeah, it's like 10 or 11 feet and most of that is roadway. And so our road is, well, I won't say.
The road itself is very thin, but as it comes off of A1A, it was previously a different platted road or something. So I believe we have a lot larger right of way
Okay.
right off of A1A, consistent with
Yeah.
what they were talking about.
Okay.
Okay.
So
We'd obviously have to explore that and make sure that we did have the right of way, but
to
that's
plant
just
the
one
bushes.
option that I can think of to.
Then plan a
Baxter
low edge.
Woodman has the surveys because we put the main under the middle of the road. Or we have them here or
Yeah,
they have.
okay.
We can just pull those.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about the piece that, I'm
We
sorry.
put the main all the way through, then ran down Little Club Road. That was the second thing we did. So
Yeah.
That's all been surveyed.
And that part for sure doesn't have any right of way to work with.
I'll pull those.
Why don't we look into that and report back at the next meeting and we can talk about it?
And then,
But the 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, I think
Agree.
20's too fast for County Road.
Yeah, no, I agree, especially with the turn
I
there.
mean, I kind of like 10. Like when I go back that way, I'm on my golf cart, which is LSV. I'm like crawling, and there's people with their dogs and everything like that.
Correct.
You got to go. My rule is you got to go slow enough to be able to read the logo on the shirt of the person you're passing.
I mean, those bushes come right out to the edge of the pavement and I'm always afraid that somebody's just going to run out.
I'm okay with
front of
15.
the
I'm not opposed to 10 by any means. I just think that 20 is way too fast.
Oh yeah.
And anything, less than 10 is just creeping. So
Correct.
Why don't we
it's
start with 15?
Yeah,
If
I
it's
think-
okay with everybody.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
fine with that.
it's
a
the cost
place
of
to
a
start.
sign, so we can
Yeah.
always change it.
Have you talked to the management at St. Andrews? Obviously
Yes.
you have.
Yes.
And I think it'd be, if it's okay with everyone, to write a formal letter to them and put them on notice.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's
okay.
something
Well,
that maybe
we
Trey and
have-
I mean, I
I.
guess
we
you
have-
have put them on notice. But
Yeah,
a
we have
formal
a couple
letter
times.
from the town?
Sure.
And they've ticketed the valets.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think
But,
it's,
yeah, do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a follow-up, I
you
think.
know, the valets probably are not,
Chief, I know we're in high season for just another 6-7 weeks. So the little club's having sort of the same problems, which isn't
Yes.
related to the county road petition. Golf club and the B&T is somewhat self-contained, except going across A1A a little bit at the B&T. So are we, it seems like there's, again, it's not my call, but some days it seems like there's almost one too many events at the little club between 10:30 and 2.
It's a very busy place during the season, and it does
I mean,
seem.
I know it's 8 weeks. I got it.
Yeah, I don't have a historical aspect to relate it to like the deputy chief does and many of you do. But it definitely is a very, very busy club. And we've had some similar complaints at the BMT club regarding parking and such, but they work with us very well to coordinate those events and to address those issues. So when we have those, they resolve them very quickly. So that seems to be
As a
the,
staff at the little club, or are they like calling you and saying, "Hey, chief, we're loaded down today"?
No.
Okay.
no.
Yeah, I gotcha.
And now sometimes when they do get loaded down, they will call us to see if they can park their staff back here. That's usually when they have an event there.
All right. Well,
That they
so
plan
TBD on that. I just want everybody
Yeah.
to be aware.
has the Little Club have you had complaints about the residents down there or on the road because they're parking the cars? No?
At Little Club?
Uh-huh.
No.
Okay.
And I don't think the chief is going to report it, but one of our officers making an arrest out on A1A
I've heard complaints
recently.
on Little Club Road.
Have you?
From the Casitas people.
Yeah,
Really?
we haven't had any.
I've heard complaints. So, I mean, I know y'all were down
It's
there
a private
because they were
road.
driving, they were
Right.
driving the wrong way. But anyway, let's,
Well, let's focus on the speed limit right
Yeah,
now.
I just wanted to report one of our officers on an arrest actually out on A1A was attacked by a golf ball
Went through the windshield
recently.
in the 2000 block of North Ocean while he was making an arrest.
Intentional action.
Yeah.
I was surprised that it busted the window.
Assisting in the arrest.
That's the
huh?
first time that we're aware of that's ever happened. So just interesting to
Was it
hear.
through the police cars?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
wow.
Chief, just one question on golf carts and low-speed vehicles. So
Yes, sir.
are all golf carts low-speed vehicles or?
No.
Or are all registered, or are all licensed golf carts not low-speed vehicles?
So any vehicle that meets the registration requirements for the state of Florida would be considered a low-speed vehicle. Golf carts are not eligible for registration as a motor vehicle unless it meets the standards of a low-speed vehicle. So golf carts are typically referred to as a golf cart by us. And then any vehicle that meets the registration standards are required or considered a low-speed vehicle, which can appear to be a golf cart, but it has other elements and structural components that meet the Department of Transportation's requirements.
And are we making a distinction for driving the wrong way on the road
Yeah, it's
between the two?
Yeah, in layman's terms, it's basically golf carts with a license plate on them are LSVs, and without are ones that just go around the neighborhood that can't operate on A1A or anything like that on a public road. They go the reverse.
And are we saying both can use county road the wrong direction? Or are we making a
We're,
distinction?
we're not really making a distinction that they can do it. We're
They're
just,
residents.
yeah, we're just saying that unless it's a safety issue, we're kind of not enforcing that.
Just as a historical tidbit.
Correct.
As you know, the Australian pines were planted by the state of Florida back in the late 19th century as a windbreak on the east side. When Meisner designed the golf club, he put Australian pines on the west side of Ocean Road to act as a screen block for golf balls. Here we are 100
They
years
weren't
later.
that effective.
100 years later, and
Well, this one got
we're
through.
going to have to send a notice to them.
Yeah.
And then if I could just bring up one more thing, and obviously I just want to publicly say thank you to the Civic Association. Obviously, they're not here, but their efforts and their communication with the police department and staff has been amazing over the last several months. And the fact that they simply are considering and thinking about the staff, I must say that this is one of the only places I've ever worked in my entire career where I truly feel like the community and the commission care about the employees and have our best interest at their hearts. So thank you, and thank the Civic Association as well.
Thanks for everything you do, Chief.
Thank you.
Chief. Okay, we're going to move forward here. The Centennial Celebration expenses for the book. Mr. Dunham.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I've lost my place on here. We are bringing this to you because it's over my $15,000 limit. So basically, what is the amount? 21,000 and change. So we're asking the commission their approval for the town to pay for those expenses.
I'll move to approve the Centennial Celebration Commemorative Book.
Second?
Renee?
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Canfield?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes.
Now,
I'm
can
sorry.
I ask one more question?
Mhm.
Is one going to go to every resident? Is that the?
Yeah, the reason it went up in cost, we initially thought we only needed 500 copies.
Okay.
Then Renee pulled up the number of actual residential
Units.
homes, townhouses, whatever. And it was 685 or something like
That's fine.
that. So
I
we
just
increased
want to make
it.
sure everyone
Increased it.
gets one.
That's why it went up. So
Every house.
every household will get one.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's not for sale. It's just for us. Okay. Ordinance 25/1. Renee, this is, we've talked about this ordinance. I don't know if
Yeah.
Trey needs to to address it right now or not?
Thank you, Mayor. So the only thing of significance is that the overlay district will be called the Neighborhood Character Preservation Overlay District, consistent with the very long naming convention that we have for the current overlay district in town, the North Ocean Boulevard Overlay District. So I felt like that was consistent with what the town was trying to accomplish. It is preserving the character of the core district neighborhood. So that's consistent with our discussions over this past year. If you look at the second page, we have the creation within Chapter 66. I worked with our new planner in locating this and tried to do it as simple as possible to eliminate any sort of confusion. So it's all properties between Polo and Gulfstream Road, and then Gulfview Drive and Old School Road. So consistent with what we had talked about. And then the next section has the provisions relative to one-story homes. First, the sliding scale FAR, then the floor area calculation modification, and then the building setback reduction. And then the new 66-472 for two-story homes talks about the maximum second floor area changed from 0.5 to 0.3, just specific to that overlay district, and then the roof height being reduced to 28 feet. So very, very straightforward. I think it'll be easy for architects and staff to navigate into the future, and it's presented for your approval on first reading. We can have Renee read it.
Great job. And we've talked about it at a number of meetings, but when I saw it in the ordinance that you drafted, Trey, it is very simple, streamlined, straightforward, and a really nice job. So I recommend that we approve it. First reading is ordinance 25/1.
An ordinance of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, amending the Town Code of Ordinances at Chapter 66 zoning to establish an overlay district known as the Neighborhood Character Preservation Overlay District within the Gulfstream core district of the town, providing for regulations within said district by adding a new Article 9, Neighborhood Character Preservation Overlay District, containing Section 66-470 creation, 66-471 one-story houses to provide additional regulations for one-story houses, and 66-472 two-story houses to provide additional regulations for two-story houses, providing for severability, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for the codification, providing an effective date. This first reading today, February 14th, 2025.
First reading of ordinance 25/1. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve ordinance 25/1.
Second.
Ms. Basil?
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Canfield?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. And move on to resolution 25-01. Mr. Dunn.
Mayor, would you like me to take that?
I'm sorry.
We'll throw it to the Chief Jones.
Sorry. So as you probably recall, last month, we talked briefly about the healthcare district creating a new mental health treatment facility within Palm Beach County. We would like to enter into an agreement with them. It's a non-financial agreement, no cost to the town. They would become our providers in the event that we have to, provide some form of service for mental health related care for someone who's unable to care for themselves and doesn't have a financial ability to be able to take care of that. Not a common practice in our community, but we should have an agreement in place to handle those kinds of services.
Any questions of the chief? Talked about it as well. Ms. Basil?
Resolution 2501, a resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, authorizing the mayor to execute a memorandum of understanding between the Town of Gulfstream and the Healthcare District of Palm Beach County for behavioral health services, providing an effective date of today, February 14th, 2025.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve resolution 25/01.
Second.
Renee?
Commissioner Green?
Yes.
Commissioner Canfield?
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley?
Yes.
Mayor Morgan?
Yes. And resolution 25-02. Renee, why don't you take this?
We are trying to get a bill into legislation. The clerks, some of them, not here, thankfully, get harassed by during the election time and code enforcement. So we're trying to get it where they can have their addresses exempt, like the police officers. So it's just trying to get this bill to legislation. Is that correct, Trey?
Yes. There is currently an exemption for code enforcement officers. So with municipal clerks who work in that area as well, it would provide advocate for a consistent exemption for them.
Seems reasonable. Would you read Resolution 2502, please?
A resolution of the Town Commission of the Town of Gulfstream, Palm Beach County, Florida, urging the Florida State Legislature to enact legislation to provide a public records exemption for municipal clerks and employees who perform municipal elections work or have any part in code enforcement functions of a municipality, providing an effective date of today, February 14th, 2025.
I'll move to approve resolution 2502.
Second.
Renee?
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Canfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. And designation of voting delegates.
Yes, sir. We do this every year. And the commission always appoints me as the voting delegate, and we list all of the commissioners as the alternates. However, Mr. Canfield had said he would prefer, no, I'm just kidding. So once again, I would just suggest making me the voting delegate and all of you guys the alternates.
Very good. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Renee?
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Canfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Orthwein,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Stanley,
Yes.
Mayor Morgan.
Yes. Any other comments, questions? If not, wish you all happy Valentine's Day. Meeting's adjourned.